Gavin, who works at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, and he's going to be our tour guide for our tour that we're going to get for Loch Ness Monster, Bolton, and Griffen, which I'm very looking forward to. So, thank you for the invite. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys are going to get to see the behind-the-scenes area of Loch Ness Monster, Griffen, and Bolton. So, and that also comes with riding each one twice without a line. So you guys are actually going to see quite a bit here in the next little bit of time. So, yeah, any question you guys have, I promise I can answer. Although this is my first year being a tour guide, I've actually been a coaster enthusiast since I was like 7 or 8. So this isn't foreign material at all.
And you subscribe to Koaster Kids, right?
Yep, Koaster Kids, Coaster Bot, Coaster Studios, it's all there.
Awesome. You guys didn't know we were getting extra rides, did you?
I didn't know either. Oh my god, that's awesome.
We just like going anywhere where it says team members only.
Yeah. We really have 2 rules in here. The first one is we ask that you do not film or take video or anything of the blueprints that are located on the wall to the right as soon as you get in. Feel free to go up to them and look at them. We just ask that those stay in the park with us. The other thing is we ask that you don't touch anything unless it's been offered to you. Other than that, please look around. There's actually quite a bit going on in this one. We're always doing work in the in-season and the off-season to get trains, back up to what our qualifications are. So right here is our 3rd train that is being built back up. Over there you can see more parts, including the wheel housings.
Wheel assemblies over there?
Absolutely. So a few of the basics of this ride that I'm sure most of you guys already know. So this ride was manufactured in 1978 by Arrow. Upon opening, it was the world's tallest and fastest roller coaster. It is 140 feet tall with 130 feet tall with a 114-foot drop and 60 miles per hour. This ride is 3,240 feet long. It's actually, when it first opened, rules are a little different in the industry. So it used to run with 4 trains, which gave it a gigantic capacity. Now we only run it with 2. So some key things I'm going to point out down here is, so as you can tell, this is a maintenance track. So like I said earlier, they're rebuilding another one. At one point in time, we had another maintenance track just like this one on the other side over there that came from that barn door over there. When we stopped using 4 trains and then stopped running 3 at once, we realized that we didn't really need it, so they opened it up over there for more space. So the first thing I'm going to point out down here is actually located right over here. So you guys are experts, so I'm going to go ahead and quiz you on a handful of things here. Who thinks they know what this yellow device is here?
The anti-rollback
Absolutely.
system.
This guy knows what he's talking about. So he's absolutely right. This is the anti-rollback. When you're going up the hill on the chain lift, especially on aerodynamics rides, you are hearing this. So I'm going to pull this off to the side to this for something else. But anyway, so the anti-rollback is located right here. This, in real life, would be located parallel to the chain. And so when you're going up, this is what you're hearing. So this is on the train underneath cars 2 and car 5. They are next to each other. So this is the anti-rollback device, and this is, would anybody like to take a guess? It's got an interesting name.
Is that the thing that catches dogs with chain?
Yes, so this is called a chain dog. So it would be just like that. And right before I move on to that here, would anybody like to take a guess on what this green plastic guard is for? Yes.
To prevent it from wearing down on the...
Absolutely. So as you guys can all tell, it is much cheaper to replace the plastic guard over time than it is to refabricate the entire part. So when this plastic is worn down, we just put a new piece on there. So anyway, I'm going to head over here to the chain. So these 2 would be located next to each other on the lift hill. So unlike the anti-rollback, however, the chain does not move in and out of grooves. Once it makes contact initially, it is going to stay in that spot until it reaches the top of the lift and the chain begins to go back under the track to be returned. So these 2 parts would be, once I said already, they're underneath cars 2 and car 5. They're right next to each other. These do not wear down a lot. However, just like everything else here, they do get checked out every morning. Our maintenance team gets here roughly 4:30 in the morning or so, and they don't stop checking over things until rides open up at the beginning of the day. So safety is our #1 priority here. And it's not just for this ride, it's for all of them. The parts are kind of heavy, just don't want to drop it on your foot. Other than that, have fun. If anybody gets any grease.
That's that sound we've heard a million times.
Wait, we grabbed on to the lift hill. All right, here we go. We're going up.
These weigh nothing. can't wait till you see the wheels of Griffen.
Like how many thousands of times have you guys heard that sound?
So I'm gonna put these back. Let's see. The next thing I'm gonna point out over here is the wheels. So if you'd like to zoom in on that here. So this ride was manufactured by Arrow, and the wheel does represent that. So there are 3 types of wheels on this ride, but anybody like to go ahead and take a guess at where this wheel would be located on the track?
On the top.
On the top, absolutely. Sorry, I'll ask you next. Would anybody like to? So this is a bit of a trick question here. Anybody want to take a guess at where this wheel would go?
Like on the side and the bottom.
Absolutely. So this one is not interchangeable. It can only ever be located on the top of the rail. AKA this is the road wheel. However, these two, I'm just gonna walk on over here, just give you a quick representation.
Under or side, right?
Absolutely.
Oh.
So I'm gonna go ahead and assume that this one would go on the inside, and that this one would go underneath. They're both interchangeable. The only reason that one of them has a groove in it and the other one doesn't, these are both out of service wheels. However, this one is brand new. It's never been ran. That's why it's perfectly flat. The polyurethane has not been dug into at all. However, you can see that this one has definitely been used. I mean, it's not even close. So Aerodynamics, when this ride opened up, recommended that we only use wheels that are flat on the top. You'd think that you'd want a wheel to be smoothed down a little bit like this to grip the wheel more. However, on the Loch Ness Monster, that is not the case. We only run wheels that are flattened out.
How long does it take for it to get to like that?
That's a great question. And honestly, there's a ton of factors. It depends on how hot it is, how full it is, how many people are sitting in that individual car. If it's rain, there's a ton of factors. The polyurethane, which is this green material, it just wears down, and sometimes it's completely regular, and other times it can go away faster. And so this is the same material. However, so would anybody like to take a guess at how many times we can reuse the actual metal on the wheel?
100 times.
Well, it's a little off. The correct answer is actually 5. So that includes the first,
I was real close.
application of the polyurethane and then 4 reapplications. So the process is simple. We actually use a company located in Maryland called Macklin. So if you want to zoom in there, they're the people that we use to refurbish our wheels on the Loch Ness Monster. So when the time comes and the wheel needs to be refurbished, what we do is we send it up to Macklin. They strip off all the polyurethane. They get this metal completely new again. And then what they do is they reapply it. And in that process, there is a thin little layer of glue, basically this stuff, that goes in between the metal and the polyurethane. So, the glue is used to keep the polyurethane stuck down. However, it is not instant. So you will notice, we'll go back to this wheel here just because you can see the dates a little better. So food comes with a use by or a sell by date. Wheels are the exact opposite. These are a best if used after date. So you can see here that this one says August 16th of 2013. So that means this wheel has been good to be ran on this ride since 2013. I'm gonna go ahead and assume that this one's only ever been used for the purposes of tours. Otherwise, I feel like they wouldn't just, leave a perfectly good wheel sitting out here. The pole that keeps swiveling?
Yeah.
That's for the gates. So this is the entrance side of the station. On the other side would be the exit.
So that thing like right there.
So that's what makes the gates open and close right there.
Absolutely.
That's really cool.
It's a lot simpler than you think.
It never crossed my mind how they do that.
Yeah, when this ride first opened, it didn't have them, so that was added later.
And you can see how this is slanted.
A little bit of both. For Loch Ness Monster, here we call it a knife brake. So the way this one works is it's the exact same one that's located on all the brake runs in the station on this ride. Basically, so it takes air pressure to keep it open. So right now it's in the closed position, which means there is no air pressure going to it. The reason we do so in that manner and not the other way around is so in the event of a power outage, when the power goes out, the air pressure all evacuates the cylinders, and then because of that, the brakes stay closed. So not only is it great for when the power is on if we're running the ride normally, it's also a great safety device for if it goes out mid-ride. So, and then if you look right on the other side of the track there, you'll see those metal blades. Those are what we call the knives. So they're the knives. So those are what would be running underneath the bottom of the train, right under the center, that would be used to slide through these. So every single car on Loch Ness has one under it. When we get over to Griffen, you'll see we don't really call them knife brakes over there, even though it's still a pneumatic system. It's just the actual pressing, like where it presses onto it, is roughly 24 inches wide, maybe wider. So we can't really get away with calling that a knife. But does anybody have any questions about the brakes here? This ride only has one type of braking, so this is used all over the track.
Yeah. So we just got a backstage tour of Loch Ness Monster, and now we're about to get 2 free rides, skipping the line on it. I'm so excited.
I know, I'm so excited. Like honestly, if the tour ended right now, I would have been satisfied. That was like really cool.
Awesome.
But we still get Griffen and for both.
So now you guys are switching to the front row.
Right now? Okay.
I'm curious to see where they're going. Remember, this room serves the same purpose as the one in Loch Ness, but this one is completely shaped differently shaped at all, or completely because the train is gigantic. So a few basic things you guys probably all know. So at the top of the lift, this ride's 210 feet tall. The top of the drop is 205. It reaches a top speed of 71 miles per hour. This ride is 3,108 feet long. It was designed and manufactured by Bolliger & Gavin, aka B&M, which is my personal favorite manufacturer. There's a couple of interesting stories about this ride. So the first one I'm going to talk about is why the train is floorless. And would anybody like to take a guess? It sounds complicated, but it's actually a pretty cool reason.
So your feet dangle.
That was, that was a byproduct. So essentially the reason why this train is floorless, so first off, I'm going to take you back 2 years before this ride opened. So Sheikah at Busch Gardens Tampa, I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. Red and blue dive coaster, much like this one. Some notable differences between the two is this one's a bit taller, a bit faster, a bit longer, notable things. However, you will notice that Sheikah is only 8 seats across, Griffen is 10. So when we were designing the ride and we're going back and forth between B&M, they crunched their numbers and they said having it 10 across with the weight is not going to be able to make it through the circuit. And so then we talked with them for a while and they talked to us for a while, and eventually B&M came to the conclusion that by removing the floor, you can have the extra 2 seats on every row and make the ride still complete its circuit. So then an interesting tidbit about that is, so you'll know that now Sheikah is floorless. Basically right after this one opened up, they realized they wanted that. However, they had the same problem, just in reverse. So on here, we had to keep it within a specific weight range. Sheikah is the same way. However, for what they did is they took off the floors and then they added dead weight to the back of the seat.
Because that was too light.
Yeah. So ultimately it weighs the same. It's just the weight is in a different spot on the train. So right now I'm going to start out by pointing out. So much like Loch Ness Monster, this ride has the anti-rollback and it's got chain dogs. It's actually got more chain dogs because there is one here that I'll talk about in just a sec, and obviously there's one in the back. So there's 2 chain dogs. Would anybody like to take a guess at why this one is a different shape than this one? And just to point something out, they both have different points of contact. This one is right here on the front, and this one is on the back. Yes?
Because the handbrake says.
Absolutely. So this is the one that engages with the chain lift that takes you to the top. This is the one that interacts with the holding brake at the top, which is really just the secondary chain. The reason why we use a chain at the top and not just brakes to send it on over is because in the event of a ride evacuation, we are able to crank the chain backwards and bring it back. Brakes can't do that. So a couple things to point out down here. So these are the anti-rollback. They move just like the other ones would, up and down. So then when we get over here, so this is, as you guys point out, the chain dog for the holding brake. And so when it is not needed during the ride, it is pressed up. And when you are riding the ride, I suggest as soon as you make it to the top of the hill, listen and feel for it. When this piece hits a green bump at the top of the lift hill, it comes down and then it goes around the whole turn at the top like that. And then when it gets to the end of the turn, it then engages with that second chain. So yeah. A lot going on underneath here. And then, so I'm going to talk about the brakes on here. So this ride has 3 different types of brakes. Would anybody like to take a guess what those are? Alright, something you guys don't know. Alright, so the first one is pneumatic, just like the ones at Loch Ness. It works very similarly. Instead of calling it a knife brake, we can't really do that because it rubs against this whole section. So this is one side of the pneumatic brake, this is the other. It works the same way as the one at Loch Ness, it's just infinitely wider. So then the second type of brake on this is magnetic. So the way that works is you'll see located directly above these pads here for the pneumatic brakes, you'll see this metal fin. So that goes down the whole side of the train. The purpose of that fin is it goes through the magnetic brakes, and in doing so, magnets naturally slow it down. Those actually work without power. And then the third type of brake on here also works without power, and that is the water brake. So as you all know, Griffen, we can take those great photos of the ride where it goes through its splash section and sends up the wonderful plumes of water. So these are what causes that lovely water splash. So each train on here actually has a different funnel. That's what we call this red piece here. The one on the other side is exactly the same as this one. So as you can see, the water would go in and it shoots out at a nice 45-degree angle. It just keeps going straight up. If you have any questions so far, I know there's a lot in here.
And that is functional. It slows. It's part of the slowing process.
You'll never see this ride operating without it. This crew here is trying to get the bearing out of the wheel. They will put the whole wheel inside the water, and because of how heat and metal go together, the bearing will then slide out. So right here is our big yellow road wheel on Griffen. I'm not going to ask you guys where anything it goes on the train because, as you can see, they're all installed on the train. So this is the road wheel, just like Loch Ness's. It rides on top of the track. Unlike Loch Ness's, though, on here it doesn't say B&M or anything. You will see this company, though. So over at Loch Ness, do you remember how it said Macklin? So over here we use a company called Euromet to refurbish our wheels. The same rules apply on these wheels. The metal can be used 5 times. The polyurethane has to be stripped down every time it gets worn down. So something that is completely unlike Loch Ness, though, you will see that, see on the top of the wheel is this nice groove. B&M actually wants that on there so it grips the track better. So the only wheels on here that operate without that groove are our upstop wheels and our guide wheels. So these are relatively flat. Another cool thing to point out about this whole assembly is, so with B&Ms, not only can it rock back and forth, it can also rotate a full 360 degrees. If anybody wants to take a crack at it, be my guest.
For what purpose does it do that?
It's a great question. I think it's just for smoothness. I can't think of any point in this ride where the entire wheel assembly would have to do an entire 360, but it can. So here we go. If anybody wants to give it a shot, be my guest. They rotate like this super easy.
Zach, turn that thing, dude.
Go for it. Yeah.
I definitely.
And then just to put this whole train into perspective, so an empty train on Loch Ness. An empty train on Loch Ness weighs 3 tons. An empty train on Griffen weighs 9.
Oh.
You're a super strong coaster mom.
It's so easy.
She is super strong.
She makes it look so easy.
The station has the ability to slide over into not one but 2 locations. This is the first location, so this room is big enough to hold 2 Griffen trains. However, there are 3 that operate on this ride, and we would store the 3rd one out here. So the transfer track has the ability to slide all the way over out here, and then we can store a 3rd one in here, just like how we store it in there.
On Griffen, we get 2 rides. We're going to do back, then front, and we get to skip the line for free. It's awesome. I'm super excited.
Prepare to enjoy the power and speed of the mythical Griffen. Keep your head against the headrest at all times. Now prepare to enjoy the power and speed of the mythical Griffen.
All right, we're about to get our behind-the-scenes ride of Revolting, but we got to finish the ices first.
Chug, 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 chug.
Zach's going for the brain freeze record.
Chug, chug, chug,
Chug, chug, chug. Can't wait to show your parents that.
So sweet.
Eliza, chug.
Thumb on the roof of your mouth. Put your thumb on the roof of your mouth.
Chug, 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 chug.
Don't look back as you brave the black forest. We're glad to see you've escaped to the forest. Please lift up on your safety harness.
Right.
We don't basically just don't want to have this door open.
All right, secret entrance, no filming in here, getting ready to go in. Oh boy, Black Forest.
We're gonna brave the Black Forest once again. We already braved it, but we're gonna brave it even more.
We'll be going.
Yeah.
It feels like I've been alive for a while.
All right, at this time we're gonna head on in.
I know, I was thinking of
Head on in. So we just went through the control room and then went into the Black Forest, and oh my gosh, that was so cool. Just like seeing all the theming completely lights off. I thought it was very interesting. What do you think?
What do you think?
That was awesome. It was so cool. We got to go in there and you could hear it, and sometimes like the the glowy things would turn on and the train would pass right by you. Also in the control room, I thought that was really cool. They had all the cameras so you could see where the ride is going, and like when it left one camera and went to another. I thought it was awesome.
So being in the control room was awesome because you could see like all the security camera footage, like how the drop track worked. And being in that building was insane. Like it was pitch black. The only light that you had was a light that was by your feet just to see where you walk so you didn't trip. Like I have so many times to trip. So like I'm the same as how many times I've hit my head, so that's good, so I didn't hit my head in there.
Kelly, what you think?
I thought that was so cool. Like we're just on like the side of a hill, just like around here, and then like we're in the Black Forest, and the train going by with the lights, and it was so cool. I love this, and the control room is awesome too.
As you can see here, Revolting has two launches. They're both LSMs, linear synchronous motors. So one of the more interesting things about this is the first launch always takes precedence over the second launch. So what that means is, if you're ever riding this ride and you get to the bottom of the drop track inside the Black Forest and you're sitting there for a minute, number one, you'll hear the sound of a car stalling repeatedly. That isn't because the ride's broken or anything. It's just because it's waiting for the first launch to go, so then it can send the second one off. The reason we have the first one go first every time is because there isn't any really great pausing stop in between. However, with the second launch, drop track is, we can hold people there for as long as we need to. So I think the blue is coming on now.
with our behind the scenes tours. Thank you again, Gavin, for giving us this. It was so awesome for Griffen, for Bolton, and Loch Ness Monster. That was just crazy. So What do you guys think?
It was so fun. Like, I can't believe that. That is probably the best experience I've ever had in a park. It was amazing. It was so fun.
You guys like it? Have a good
That
time?
was awesome.
Glad you guys got to come. But these are fun tours to give. Not many people get to say that they go inside of the Black Forest at Busch Gardens for a job. So I love doing this.
This might be my new favorite park.